You may have seen some videos online that tell you how paying an extra $100 or $200 a month can end up saving you tens of thousands of dollars over the lifetime of your loan and help you pay off your mortgage in 22 years instead of 30. So this may have you thinking that aggressively paying off your mortgage is actually a great idea. But in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you why paying off your home early is actually a mistake. But more importantly, what you should be doing with your money instead. Now, if you guys haven't seen what paying off an additional $100 a month towards your mortgage looks like, let's take a quick look. What I like to do is go on Dave Ramsey's calculator website here. Let's put in a loan amount of $500,000. Date of first payment is the first of the year. We have 30-year mortgage and an interest rate of 7%. We see that our current monthly payment is $3,326.51. This includes principal and interest. Now you can see that if you just pay this off every single month, in over 30 years, you're gonna be paying a whopping $700,000 in interest payments alone. And the total amount you're paying for this home is almost $1.2 million. So this doesn't include the down payment, okay? This is just a loan itself. But what happens if you pay an extra $100 a month towards this? Now you can see that you save $75,000 and you pay off your loan 2 years and 8 months faster. So it's actually a pretty good deal. And if you do even more and you pay 10% of the loan amount, so let's say $330, then bam, you save $193,000 from the loan and you pay off your loan 7 years faster. So your mortgage is only gonna be 23 years instead of 30 years. And this is guaranteed savings. So again, don't get me wrong, doing something like this is great for your financial future if you're gonna spend the extra $300 buying something stupid instead. But here's the thing that you might not be thinking about. It's not the best way of using your money if you're concerned about growing your net worth as a whole. So trust me, there's a much smarter way to use your money instead of just paying off your mortgage early, which we'll discuss in a little bit. So now that you know the benefits of paying this off, let's talk about the downsides of paying off your mortgage early. One of the biggest downsides of paying off your home early is that now your money is trapped in something called equity jail, which means that every dollar you put into your home is now trapped into your house, and you're never gonna see that dollar again until you tap into the equity with a cash out refinance or by using a home equity loan. But doing that basically means that you're going back into debt. So you spend all that time to pay off your mortgage only to want to get that money back out by getting another loan. Or of course, you could sell the home, but then you don't have a house to live in. Now I've seen plenty of homeowners stuck in this exact situation, unable to access their money when they need it the most. And trust me, you do not want to be there. So instead of aggressively paying off these properties, what a lot of pro real estate investors do is take on 30-year loans and then just pay them off as slowly as possible. And in fact, what some investor would love to do is to have a loan that never gets paid off. Now this may sound counterintuitive, like why would I want to pay interest forever? But here's the thing, if you can get a loan forever, that means your monthly payment is going to be really low, which means more cash flow. And they aren't really concerned about paying money towards interest because they know that they can take that money and they can grow somewhere else instead. So for example, let's go back to our original idea where you had a loan for $500,000 at a 7% interest rate for 30 years. That means your mortgage is going to be $3,300. But if you had the option of getting a $500,000 loan at 7% interest and it's interest only, meaning it'll never get paid off, then your monthly payment is $2,900. So that's almost a $400 difference. And that goes a pretty long way when it comes to cash flow. And investors love this because they know that as years go by, they can increase the rents on their properties, meaning their cash flow goes up, but their payments stay the same. And over time, they know that that $2,900 payment is going to be insignificant, mostly because of inflation. Think about it. Back then, people had mortgages for $500 and they thought it was a huge burden on them. Can you imagine owning a home for just $500 now? It's like a dream come true. People would love to have that. So just imagine 30 or 60 years from now, if you had a mortgage for just $3,000, wouldn't that be a steal? Yeah, it would. Now, paying off your mortgage is an especially huge mistake if your interest rate is low, something like under 5%. Because if you're able to make more money by investing it somewhere else at a guaranteed interest rate, then there's really no use in spending all that money to pay off a super low interest mortgage. As an extreme example, let's imagine you had a $100,000 loan that you could pay off, but it has 0% interest on it. On the other hand, you had access to a high yield savings account that pays you 4.5% guaranteed, which means that you're going to get a guaranteed 4.5% interest on the money. And if you happen to have $100,000 drop into your lap one day and you were told you could either pay off all your debt right now or put your money into a high yield savings account, which one would you do? Well, obviously you'd probably choose the high yield savings account because you can make a guaranteed $4,500 from that 4.5% interest rate, then you drop it into this loan that you don't have to pay off right away and it's 0% anyway, so it's not even growing. Because why would you sell for less when you could do something to make your money work harder for you? So this is something that many investors have to balance every single day. They have to find the right balance between paying off a guaranteed interest rate for a loan versus finding something that can actually grow and make more money. And honestly, I find that 5% seems to be the sweet spot, because above that, it can be hard to find investment that it's guaranteed to pay off more than the interest you're paying, right? Like if you had a mortgage for 9%, do you really want to invest in the S&P 500 that only grows up 9%? Maybe not. Maybe then you just pay off your mortgage. It's kind of like credit card debt. Credit card debt is really high, in the high teens. You probably won't find a guaranteed investment that will be at the high teens, so it's better to pay off that credit card debt instead. So now that you know why it's bad to pay off your mortgage, what should you be doing instead? If you have a low enough interest rate in your mortgage, it's almost always better to just invest that money somewhere else, either into another property or into an index fund. Now, historically, the S&P 500 makes around 8% a year. 8% may not seem that big, but over time it compounds and it really adds up in a big way. So if you do the calculations for that, let's say you start with $100 and it grows by 8% a year, then sure, your first year is only going to be $8, then becomes 16, 25, 36, and over 30 years, somehow that $100 becomes $931, which is actually pretty good. And this is a lot more than the money that you would have spent on interest if your interest rate is a lot lower than 8%. Because let's say let's change this number from 8% to 4%, meaning you had a 4% interest rate mortgage, then over 30 years, you would have only paid $311. So if you take the difference between that, then by investing in something that gets 8% a year versus paying off a loan that only charges 4% a year, you're basically getting an extra $600 by investing it instead of paying off your home earlier. Now, of course, buying stocks do have risks. They do go up and down every year, but on average, you are going to be getting 8 to 10% over the long run, which is why I said if the rate on your mortgage is low, it's just better to invest it instead. By maximizing your returns, your net worth and your wealth will really start to grow. So investing in something that can make you much more money versus aggressively paying off your mortgage will make you more in the long run. And it's why putting extra money towards your mortgage is a mistake according to the math. Now, that being said, there is something to be said about paying off your mortgage just for the peace of mind aspect. My wife and I actually have been paying off many of our mortgages because we had commercial loans, which means that over time, the rates on these loans adjust or some of them expire, which means we have to refinance them, pay a lot of closing costs, and it's a big hassle. So when rates adjust, it means that if I got the loan at 4% and then interest rates increase, then after 5 years or so, my 4% interest loan will suddenly become 7%. I'm going to pay a lot of money in interest. Paying off mortgages also gives you peace of mind because now it's one less bill that you have to keep track of every single month, which means less bookkeeping. And of course, one less mortgage means more cash flow in your properties. Now, some investors are really not okay with paying off their loans early. They want to have as little equity in the property as possible, and they want to maximize their leverage. But doing that will make you very stressed. And for me, I actually really enjoy having peace of mind and owning some of my properties free and clear, because it lets me travel and not to worry about my properties, and they can be vacant for a couple of months and it's not really a big deal to me because I have other properties that are covering my expenses and cost of living. So now that you know why paying off your home early is a mistake, you also want to know why investing in real estate helps you to save a ton of money on your large expense, which are your taxes. So be sure to check out this video over here to learn how you can legally pay $0 in taxes using real estate. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.